So first thing I was going to ask you was, I remember last time you talked about it a little bit. You still doing the phone booth stuff, or did you ever do
Uh,
the phone booth fighting?
yeah, I did. I did one fight with the champion, and I lost a close decision. I really did lose, but it was really really close. So, and I was really happy with my performance, really, because like right after the fight, I went to the doctor. Actually, had a heart operation like 5 days after the fart or after the fight, and because I had arrhythmia for like 3 years, and the doctor's like, I don't know how you competed. So I was actually pretty happy with the way it went. With like I had a big strong guy that was a good boxer and it was like really really could have gone either way. So I wasn't disappointed that I lost. I just I wanted to win, of course, but yeah, I want to do it again now that I feel better. So.
Yeah. Now, how your experience with fighting in like the UFC and Strikeforce, how did that tie into doing the phone booth? Did you felt like you had an advantage, or?
Yeah, I mean, of course, like I mean, those are much bigger fights. This is kind of like what do you call it? Not play, but like there's a word for it here in Russia, but it's not if you win or lose, it's not you're not it doesn't help or hurt you so much in either way because it's like
Yeah.
it's kind of a it's straight. You're fighting in a phone box,
Yeah.
so. But for me, really, it's the best possible place to fight because you don't have to worry about like how good you can see, your reaction, your reflexes, with your what you see and stuff like that don't have to be so good. So really, it's like a perfect fight. It's a lot of wrestling too. So for me, it's perfect. So
Yeah,
I'd
that's good.
like to do it again.
David, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I guess. Well, I'm glad you're doing okay. But how long did the heart thing kind of sideline you for a while from doing anything physical or rest or grappling type stuff? Or
What it'd been affecting me for about 3 years, 3.5 years, and I mean, it affected me, but it didn't. I still did it. I just did
right?
it at a much worse, like output than I would have normally. So yeah, I still train. I still did, and I had good days. I had days when it wasn't so bad, but normally, normally, especially towards the end, I really felt it a lot. So
Yeah. Um, and what about upcoming? Do you have any MMA ventures, grappling ventures coming up?
yeah, I'm actually on the 18th of August. I'm fighting Oleg Taktarov, believe it or not, in a boxing fight, and then um and 2 months after that I'm having my last MMA fight ever in Russia, and then I'm done. I'm gonna be in September. I'm gonna be what they call a deputat, which is a member of like Congress. And
Okay.
so yeah, I can't, they don't want you to fight. So I had to kind of say, hey, this one's already scheduled, so I can't back out of it. And it's my last one, so they agreed to let me do it. So like, I'm glad I'm finishing, really, because I love it and stuff, but it's just I'm getting to the age where I can't train how I need to train to win a fight against like a young, like good fighter. So it'll be good to be done. Yeah.
Yeah. What about on like the government side? Are you training anybody in like the government, like the Russian government or anything like that with MMA hand-to-hand combat stuff?
I'm actually not training the government guys. I'm training refugees
Okay.
that are from the war in Ukraine, and the
Hmm.
refugees that come over from Ukraine or from the Ukraine side or the Russian side, that are like refugees, like looking for, they're getting shelter, getting stuff. I open up a school down there, like right close to the border, and free school, free sports, like jujitsu school. And so we got a couple coaches working there. And but I go do like seminars. So on the 10th of August, I'm going to go down there again and do like a free seminar for like basically it's a refugee, and they're mostly kids. So
Okay. Cool, man. David, you got anything?
Yeah, that's what I was about to have actually had it here. I saw on Instagram, I guess in March, about you posting about opening a free school, and it was like the pictures of the kids. So I was going to ask about that anyway. So But you just answered it, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Dave, I know David you were going to bring this up. Do you want to ask him about Joe
Oh,
Hurst?
yes. Yeah. Do you know Joe Hurst?
Yeah, really well.
Okay, yeah. So my dad grew up with Joe Hurst, and I guess they talked a while back, and your name came up, and thought I would bring it on here. My dad was like a family neighborhood, lived in his neighborhood, and then they kind of through jiu-jitsu met back up and when they were adults, but later on in life. But yeah, I was just gonna ask, kind of, you knew him, or if you had any stories with him or anything like that.
Yeah. He's a crazy guy, man. He's crazy. He's got like the biggest heart of anybody like you ever meet. He like very giving. He's one of those people that unfortunately will never have money because he gives everything away, and he does so much stuff for free or reduced price and stuff. I mean, he teaches cops. He's got two deal, or this is a couple years back, but this is a lot. I mean, haven't been back for a while, but I know he was teaching like two schools, or two different police academies, or police just districts or whatever like that, for like really not a lot of money. And then he teaches kids, and he does self-defense seminars for women for free, and he travels all the way. He puts on, I mean, I first met him because he did like this tournament called the Bud Cup. He did that one for a lot of years. And I just remember, like, I'd go down there, and me and Marcel Ferreira, another guy, a black belt from our school, we'd go down there, and we'd do well at these tournaments, and we went down and get the prize money, and they go, and I just remember the sponsors like Budweiser and stuff. I mean, he used their name. Now, like, you sponsored them and this, and they like always, they've been probably, it's going like 5-6 years. They just never paid. They always said, yeah, we're going to pay next year. And they do a couple of promotional gifts or something like that didn't help him hardly at all. And then just anyway, but my story with him, like, I stayed at his house many times, and he's just a great guy. He's just a great guy, and really disorganized, really like he's like me 2.0, like disorganized, late, misses flights, like da-da, but he's like the best guy, the best friend, the most loyal guy. That's probably the best. If I had to describe in one word, it'd be like loyal. He's a very loyal, if you're like his friend, or like just, and he keeps his word no matter what. So he's a great guy. So yeah, I just felt bad for him for a lot of years because he just kind of got, I mean, some of these companies just took advantage of him and stuff. But anyway, he's a great guy. And yeah, I hope he's doing, I haven't talked to him in a while, so I think I need to give him a shout.
Yeah, so my dad talked to him for the first time, like you were just saying, in 2 years. He just called my dad randomly, like they've been talking every day, like, hey, how are you doing, blah blah. And they talked for like an hour, and he told him about what we're doing, and we were just listing names. So you came up, and he brought you up, and he's like, yeah, I haven't talked to him in about 2 years. And I was like, well, it's a little harder to reach him now, but we'll tell him we're going to interview him again, and we'll let him know that you asked about him, and maybe link y'all, say some words to each other or something at some point.
Yeah, give him my. I mean, he's got. I mean, obviously give him my number because this is probably the third phone I've had since I've been here. So like broken or lost or something. So
we'll do. Yeah.
Jeff, I was going to ask you this. So, have you wrestled any bears lately?
No, that's a big. It's on my. I think it's on my. It was on my like Telegram or whatever it was, like with a bear. So yeah, like there's a lot of bears here. So I actually like got to play with a tiger about a week ago because they had a circus in my home city of Ufa, and they let me wrestle with the tiger. Not wrestle, play with the baby tiger. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, the bears are the best.
Cool, man. Recently, I don't know if you watch any of the Joe Rogan podcast stuff. They, I think it was Rogan, Dean Thomas, and Matt Serra. They actually brought up your fight with Fedor recently. Was Dean Thomas with you that night? Was he with you at the M1 fight?
He wasn't. At that. I had a couple guys from Top Team, but he wasn't there at the fight.
Okay, I might have misheard him, but I was wondering about that. David, you got anything?
He might have been there announced. He just wasn't in my corner. I mean, he might have actually been at the fight, but I just don't. He wasn't in my corner at that fight.
Okay, gotcha. Well, no, I mean they were just talking about your fight with him, and I mean how how tough you were with fighting Fedor. Just the aftermath and everything.
With a broke leg too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the second round it broke. Man, I really thought I was going to win this fight. Every fight he did, I watched like all his fight. He just comes in and attacks, comes in, throws punches, like bomb, 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 bomb. And man, I saw Mark Coleman take him down. I saw Mark Hunt take him down. I saw him on his back a couple times. And I was like, man, these guys, like, I'm a good wrestler, but none of these guys were. The only jiu-jitsu guy, really tough jiu-jitsu guy he fought was Nogueira. But Nogueira was on the bottom the whole time. Nogueira couldn't take him down or didn't, Fedor just like kept away, he was beating him. So yeah. Fedor was like on top. So, I mean, the guy not going to get triangled by at that time when he's at his height, and knowing that that's all Nogueira had on the bottom, that's so. I thought, man, he's gonna come in, he's gonna punch. I'm gonna take him down, and I'm gonna sub him. I'm gonna north south him, or I'm gonna choke him or something. And man, he just kept the fights. He made it a kickboxing fight, and I was stupid, and I trained really hard for it. I should just come in throwing and attack, but I kept my distance. I mean, I just literally stood in front of him and like walked in. And he just kept. I think he knocked me down 3 or 4 times, probably 4 times in that fight. And the first time he got on top of me, and I did my little half guard sweep, and I ended up almost on top, but he just kicked away and stood up. And then after that, every time he knocked me down, he just like, okay, just get back up. I'm not gonna engage. So it was like he just made it like a 3-round kickboxing match, and I just stood in front of him. And it's like, man, and then when I broke my leg and I couldn't. Then I couldn't attack him at that point. It was like I couldn't attack him if I wanted to, but I don't even think it's just that's really, that I think about this sometimes. That's the difference between me as a grappler, like being a champion, like I think one of the best, ever that competed in grappling, versus me as an MMA fighter, like a very good MMA fighter, but not a great MMA fighter, not a champion MMA fighter. So to me, that was a difference. If that was an MMA fight or a grappling fight, I would have figured out a way to win. You know what I mean? Like, but in MMA, the best of the best, like, were that little edge better than me, and I couldn't figure out how to win against the best of the best guys. And grappling, I could figure out how to win in MMA and not. So that was the difference.
I mean, you're the man when it comes to grappling. I mean, I think a lot of people have issues with you. You also went against Fabricio Werdum, didn't you? You had a grappling match with him.
Yeah, I had 2. I beat him the first time for Abu Dhabi when I won the title. And the second time I lost. But man, I hate making excuses. He at that point in our careers, he would have won anyway. Like honestly, he would have won because he was training harder, he was hungrier. But I had a torn labrum, and so I won the first match and retore it, and I got a shot of some kind of anesthesia shot from like a doctor, but I shot in on him, he just like grabbed it, and as soon as he grabbed, he retore it, so I just tapped, so that was into that, but I not an excuse, because I think at that point he was better than me anyway. But I just had no chance. Like literally, like hindsight's always 20, but I had no chance to win that fight. So,
gotcha. Did you hear I think he's doing coming up? He's gonna fight Junior Dos Santos. George Masvidal has the bare knuckle MMA thing going on.
Yeah.
So I guess him and Dos Santos will be fighting soon with bare knuckle MMA. So that'll be interesting to see.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
So I think that's gonna be in Jacksonville, Florida, in September. So that's gonna be that'll be different because Masvidal he's starting that. Yeah, he's starting that bare knuckle MMA stuff. So
yeah.
So
that's where he started. So that's he knows that better than anybody. So
yeah, for sure.
He's doing pretty good with it. Besides like BKFC, you hear about I mean, his MMA stuff too is kind of. I think that's where like Bo Nichols started. So he's doing pretty well with his promotions.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Masvidal is. So.
And
Well, he's
speaking
got
of
the name, he's got, and then it's big, and the bare knuckles getting bigger, so it's probably a good time for him to do it.
For sure. And speaking of the bare knuckle stuff, what was there was a video on YouTube, you calling out Kimbo Slice. That was a while back.
Yeah.
But was that like a parody video, or were you really calling him out? Because I know Matt Brown. Okay.
He actually really, it was really funny because I called him out. It was a joke. It was funny. I wasn't gonna fight him, but like he joined our team like a month later, and he had never seen it. And the guys on the team, like, they never seen it. They know it's a parody, but he didn't know it was a parody. And the guys showed, we trained a couple times, and then the guys showed him this video. He's like, man. And then like say like that, it's a joke. That just show him Mike Brown's video after, and then he's like, "Oh, okay,
I saw that too."
Yeah. You talked to any? I know last time we talked about it a little bit. You still talking to the top team guys?
Yeah, because I'm in this fantasy league with them, like even on here. So yeah, we talk. We talk a lot. So
cool, man. David, you got anything?
Yeah, I guess circling back a little bit, I guess describe kind of what it was like to work back to the UFC and even get to fighting Tim Sylvia. I think you reeled off like 3 wins and then fighting Tim Sylvia with UFC Gold. Kind of what was that like, that experience like, if you can remember?
Yeah, I remember I just, I tore my bicep. So I come to top team. My very first fight is with Rico Rodriguez. So they invite me down. They go, look, well, we'll give you like a stipend every month, so you don't have to work. Because I was working as a psychologist in Seattle, working full time, had family, 2 kids, and they go, man, come to. I met these guys at a grappling event in the Arnold Schwarzenegger Classic, and I met all the guys from Top Team. There wasn't even Top Team then; it was called the Sevilla Brothers. And so I trained, or I competed against the guys, and they're like, "Hey, pretty nice guy. Maybe you can teach the guys wrestling. We got a lot of Brazilian black belts. We want to start an MMA team because we're just a grappling team. We'll start an MMA team, and maybe you can teach them wrestling, and we'll pay you a stipend, and they'll train you jiu-jitsu. We'll train you how to fight." So I went down there, and I just had like 3 weeks notice to fight Rico Rodriguez. So I fight Rico and we didn't know nothing. They didn't know. They know how to do jiu-jitsu. They didn't know how to train. So I went down there, and I was like all excited. I moved my whole family to Florida, South Florida, and so I'm training like my ass off. They're training me boxing every day, jiu-jitsu every day. Then I go to the gym and lift weights. So I for 3 weeks, and I was completely exhausted. I overtrained, and because they didn't know nothing about training, like nothing. Just like, training. And so I went out and like I just got my ass kicked. I was exhausted. And I remember when I went back to Seattle to get the rest of my stuff to move, and I trained with a guy. I don't know if you guys remember Benji Raddick. You know who that is? He fought in the UFC a couple of times.
I've heard the name before.
Heard the name.
Yeah, he's like probably 180 pounder. So like he's like 180, and I was like 220. So like I had my way with Benji. Got bigger and stronger. But he's a good guy, a good fighter. But I just remember I went down practicing maybe a week after the 5 days after the Rico fight, just training, and he was kicking my ass, and that's the first time I understood like, holy shit, I'm tired, and so. But anyway, and when I went to Top Team, man, why they're so successful, because 2 reasons. One, they're like a family. Like everybody's like really close, and they're like treat you like this is not just a team, but we're like a family. They have their barbecues, they support each other. I mean, it's like a family. And the other big reason is the guys were smart enough to understand they didn't know anything about fighting. You know what I mean? They knew how to do jiu-jitsu, like jiu-jitsu tournament. They hired a good boxing coach. They hired a good conditioning coach. They hired all the right guys. They hired like a jiu-jitsu coach to teach MMA jiu-jitsu, not just like gi jiu-jitsu. And so they hired all the right guys that worked well together. And so they were able to put like these good coaches together. They got some good, good students that became, obviously like famous. So when I trained down there, so I lost this fight, and then I think I lost to Forrest Griffin. And then like a month later, I tore my bicep because I wasn't training properly. And then I had surgery. So I had 9 months to basically recover. And during this time, because I couldn't overtrain, it was impossible because I was injured. I started to like learn more, and I did boxing, the boxing code, because I could do boxing before I could do jiu-jitsu, because it was, I wasn't so tight on my bicep. And I learned how to box. I learned how to they hired this like training coach. I learned how to do training without like having my muscles so tight. And so I learned how to fight. And so when I came back, I put out this pretty long winning streak at jiu-jitsu tournaments. I won Abu Dhabi. I won, fight after fight after fight, starting with little fights, getting into bigger fights, until finally I got the opportunity to fight in the UFC again. And then I won a couple before the Tim Sylvia fight. So everything just fell into place. But I don't think anybody other team in the world like would have given this guy, who was maybe 8 wins and 5 losses or something like that, just tore his bicep, like pretty much like a journeyman up to that point, other than winning Abu Dhabi one time. And then that's it, really. And then I, be successful grappling. I think most people go, I just go grapple, because, you do pretty successful at that, but not so much MMA. So these guys really gave me the opportunity to be, as good as I could be. So, which wasn't the best, but was, obviously, I was pretty successful. So.
Awesome, man. I appreciate you sharing that.
For sure. That's kind of awesome to hear about AT&T, how you see it now, especially in the UFC and always like on television around here in the United States. So it's kind of cool to see that you were there kind of at the beginning, and you're kind of talking high on them about learning and hiring the right people. So that's cool to hear.
Yeah, I remember we just had like a tiny little gym, and I mean tiny, like, and we had like 2 or 3 like home fans, like you buy for your house, like room fans, and this is Florida, and that's it. A couple room fans. We had like 25 guys in this little area with just mats. We didn't have boxing like equipment. We had boxing gloves and like headgear, but we didn't have heavy bags. We didn't have speed bags. We didn't have nothing. And we trained with these little, just brutally hot, this little room. And then we went out, and we didn't have showers. We had a garden hose outside, and we took turns. We took turns showering off this garden hose, and we'd bring soap or like shampoo and share the shampoo or whatever. And we're out in our fight shorts outside, in the back alley, literally. And that was American. And then we, at that time we became officially American top team at that time. Got the logo and all that stuff. But we were American top team with just, in the little room with garden hose for shower, no amenities, nothing. Just some good coaches, some people with vision, and got some like pretty good fighters that were coming in. So.
And when was the last time you were over there training? I guess the last time you probably were there in Florida training at the ATT.
Probably been a year and a half since I've been in U.S. So that's the last time I was there.
Gotcha. What are you saying, Andrew?
Oh, so was it always at that Coconut Creek location, or was it at a different building?
No, this place in like not West Palm Beach, Boca Raton, that I just described. Then we went down to a place technically Coconut Creek, and then it was a big school, like with showers and all that stuff. But the new school where we are now is like with it's like 2 stories, like upstairs with the there's how many 20 rooms or whatever for people to live. There's there's kitchen, and there's always been showers all that stuff. But now they got like a, sauna. And I mean, you could, I mean, it's a how you could live. I mean, people do live there. It's like a, set for 20, 25 people to live there and train there. And like, you don't need to leave. They got food there. They got everything. I mean, you literally don't need to leave if you don't want to.
Cool, man.
Yeah, it's cool.
Were you there by any chance, like around like when Colby Covington came along?
Yeah, I was there. I was there when Colby was there.
Okay. I don't know if you remember anything of like this, but did they argue that much, like at the gym? I know that was a big thing.
No, so there, I know it's blown up and stuff like that, but it's really a couple incidences. And most of their stuff, I mean, it's Covey and Masvidal and all this stuff, but that, the coaches and the train, they didn't allow, the other fighters, they didn't allow that stuff really to happen during their practices and stuff like that. So this stuff kind of happened on their own. Those guys knew each other, were roommates, all this stuff before, and so it just kind of turned sour. And I don't know the full story. I don't know who's to blame or if anyone's to blame or it's just a personality conflict or whatever. But I just know when Kobe was going to get cut by the UFC, and then he won that fight, and they said, whether you win or lose, we're going to cut you. But he was in Brazil, and he just made a big show out of it, like said, oh, these people are scum. They're from the jungle. They're not humans. And so they're like, oh, that's kind of interesting, and he won the fight. And it just blew up from there. He became like a showman more than a fight. Well, he's always a good fighter. He's a very good fighter, but he was a showman as well. And then everything just went back because he didn't. I think the reason we had a problem with Masvidal, in my opinion, is because Masvidal knew him close and good friends. And so like someone like me, like I knew Kobe kinda because we both went to Oregon State University at different times, but we kind of had that connection. His high school wrestling coach was my teammate at Oregon State, so we had kind of a connection when he came in. So I knew him, and I knew he wasn't the way that he acted, really. And so I could kind of call him out on it, like in a joking kind of way. Like I say, come on, but our politics couldn't be more, they're 180. It couldn't be further apart. And so I just tease the shit out of them, like blah 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 blah, but in a friendly way. So we never had any conflict. And I never had a conflict with Kobe. Like I talk bad about him. But with Masvidal, Masvidal knew him, and I think called him out on his shit, like for real. It was like, Kobe, come on, shut the fuck up, man. Like, this isn't talking bullshit. This isn't you. This isn't real. But Kobe, and so I don't, it's just an opinion. So I don't know how much Kobe started to actually believe in the stuff he was saying, or it's just like a show. But like I can say, when he trained at the gym and I was there and I saw him and we talked, he didn't say that stuff.
So there wasn't that much arguing going on at the gym.
He didn't say that stuff in front of the team. He didn't act that way in front of during training sessions and stuff like that. I think this is some isolated incidences with maybe Masvidal, people who really knew him and maybe called him out on this. What are you doing, man? Think this. That's what I think.
Yeah, I'm sure just all blown out of proportion. I don't know if, like you said, I don't know if he believes the stuff now, or you know what I mean, or he just, who knows? Maybe it's just selling a fight. Who knows, man?
Yeah, I don't know if he believes it. I know he started this stuff because obviously he started his first year, and maybe he kind of thought about it, but then whoa, people paid attention to that. I'm going to say it again. Oh, it's like rewarded behavior. So it's like anything, like any person that does something that's rewarded is going to keep doing it. So
yeah, for sure.
Because I think you went at Dustin Poirier as well, just in the last year or two. I saw something with that, and I didn't know if you knew Dustin at all from when you were training over there.
Yeah, so Dustin and him had a little problem. Like Dustin's just like a American, American boy, like a good old nice
Louisiana.
bring home to your mom kind of boy. You know what I mean? Like clean cut, nice, doesn't cuss, like, polite, so, and all the stuff that, Kobe was doing is just the opposite. And I just think it was just like a very conflicted personality. Where normally, like before Kobe started doing this stuff, I don't think it would have been an issue. But then when, obviously when Kobe kind of changed his persona for, for fighting, to get, more money, which is obviously paid off for him, then it became a conflict with some people. So I don't know. I just, like, honestly, with me, I just like to shut up, like you, like backward, like blah blah blah, like redneck, whatever, blah blah blah. And he just was laughing because I didn't have any aggression towards him. So
yeah. I mean, apparently he's fighting Leon Edwards for the belt soon. So I guess all that did. Wow. I mean, I guess who knows? Maybe it all worked out.
And it will probably be interesting because I think they're trying to get him on that Stipe John Jones card, and so he's already kind of taunting John Jones about that. So that could be interesting as well.
He's gonna ask John Jones the tough questions.
That's what he said.
So we'll see.
Yeah, you should be careful like aggravating John Jones. So.
I agree. Yeah, for sure.
Anyways, David, do you want to add anything?
I'm good, man. I just appreciate you talking again. It's funny, this is like episode, I think, 28 for us, and you're our very first one. So appreciate you getting us started and having you back on.
Yeah, no, yeah, appreciate it, man. Yeah, it's like, it's good. Yeah, I really I want to say like one thing. So I want to kind of promote something. So I did this documentary film with a friend of mine, and my friend's from New York, but he lives here too. His name's Don, and he works for Russia Today, like a media outlet. But we did this film about the war, and it's called 8 Years Before. And the reason we did this documentary is because we went down to the kind of disputed areas, the areas that Russia has annexed, took back from Ukraine, and the reason that we did is because we went there and we saw these people and asked them like how do you feel, what do you want, what, like, how do you, like, what are your feelings about this, and so this documentary is like 2 hours long and shows it's not the Russian side, it's not the American or Ukrainian side, it's these people who got caught in the middle. And they talk about how they were like attacked by like Ukraine, and now it's been 9 years, but they were actually attacked, and it's been called genocide by the UN, and nobody knows about it. Like, nobody understands that these people have suffered a lot. So we did this documentary for them to show that and so I want people to watch this. Just it's not pro Russia, it's not pro Ukraine, it's just to show that these people like exist, like just to show that nobody can even, it's called Donbass region, from Lugansk and Donetsk republics, and like nobody outside of like Russia or Ukraine even know these people are alive or have suffered for like 9 years, been bombed and like killed, and like so many children have died and stuff like this. And they're, it's so sad that we just had to do this documentary and like show. We did it for them, and then we had a big show. We went down there, had a big showing and stuff, and just wanted, like, our whole point of this is just to tell the world that you exist and that we haven't forgotten you, and that people, if they understood what was happening to you, they would care. It's not that people don't care, they just haven't heard this in the media, because it's not it's just not something that you're going to hear in the Western media about these people. So
yeah, I mean,
anyway,
awesome.
yeah, it's called 8 Years Before.
How do you watch that?
Yeah, how do you watch that?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Just go to YouTube and type in 8 Years Before, and
okay.
Do it. And it because of what when a lot of stuff like this pro Russia or pro whatever, like defending the Russian intervention in Ukraine has been blocked and on YouTube, but this hasn't. And the reason it hasn't is because it's a humanitarian film, and we did it for no money. We did it. We didn't sell it. We put it free on YouTube. We did it just for just so really as a gift for the people there, like to say, you know what, like we want to tell your story, that you exist, and that's your, and just a lot of interviews with the people living there. So, you know, when people say, oh, you know, this is the Ukrainian American version, this is the British version, this is the Russian propaganda version. It's like, what I say is like, this isn't my words, this isn't Don's word, this isn't like Russia's word. This is the people that are living there, that have lived there their whole life, that their whole, like they live there, their parents are there, their grandparents are there, their great-great-grandparents are, like, these people lived and died on this soil for many years. And this is their story. They're telling us, like, this happened to me. Look at my house. Look at my grave for my child. Look at my son in the hospital. Oh, look at me, I've lost an arm. This is what happened. This is how we feel. Like, this is, you know, we're refugees now, or whatever it is. So this film is real. And I'm sorry to get all, like, I'm not trying to get political or whatever, but I just think this is such, at this point in the world with all this stuff going on, there's so many people living there, like, under these conditions today. Like, they're in the middle of this getting, you know, so attacked by the Ukrainian side. And so I just, you know, I just made a promise, and Don made a promise that we would tell their story. So anyway, YouTube 8 years before, and then, but like you said, it's the people's story. It's not our story. It's interviews with them, and they're like telling it, showing us, you know, talking. And so
I'll check it.
How long did that take to make? The full documentary?
It took us 13 months.
13 months. Gotcha.
Right. And with like 4 trips down there, like hours and hours of video editing, and like so much. And so you can go to 8 years, and yeah, it's like a 2 hour and 4 minute documentary. So it's quite long, but it's quite interesting. So
yeah, I'll check it out.
Yeah, we'll check it out, man. There was one thing before we get off here I wanted to ask you. It's a little off subject, but what's the something about processed, like, vegetables and pesticides they put on foods in Russia? Do you know what I'm talking about? And apparently the Russian government, Putin, banned that. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. So throughout, like, traditionally history, like, Russian hasn't used pesticides, hasn't used herbicides, hasn't used these stuff. And it you know, obviously this stuff helps crops. Like, if you want your yield, and that's, you know, when you have a big company, like a farming company, like, trying to put, you know, get as much corn out there as you can, or get as much grain out there as you can. Like, they don't want, you know, pests. They don't want insects eating their profits and stuff. So is that, but they recently
So, man.
So,
man, sorry, my phone died. But I had it.
That's what we thought. We thought that.
That's in, but like, it's so the amount of electricity come out of. I'm in a hotel. The amount of electricity coming out wasn't enough to even. It was like going down faster than the energy was going into. So I got it into a like a portable one that's like
okay.
quick. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. If you wanted to finish real quick what you were saying about
Vladimir Putin put a law on edict, and I guess in the US they call this a presidential decree, where they like just make it like law. So he just said no more, you know, pesticides, herbicides, that kind of stuff. And that, you know, the food here, I just gotta say, is much healthier. Like, because it's usually from local farms. You go to the US and you got the big trucks driving all across the freeways and whatever the US, you know, bringing products and foods and stuff, frozen foods and this and that. You don't have that here, like at all. Like, if you're drinking milk, you can be sure, even if it's from Moscow, like a huge city, you can be sure it came like from like a farm really close, or eggs or meats or whatever like that, you can be sure it wasn't packaged across the country. So the food itself is much fresher and healthier here. So yeah, I'm glad they did. I mean, it's going to hurt profits and the economy a little bit, but obviously people's health is more important than that. So yeah,
for sure.
It's a big deal. Like what do they call it? The biofoods in America now, where they're genetically engineered foods and stuff like that. It's like a big.
It's crazy.
And I'm not an expert. I don't know if it makes it unhealthy or healthy. I know pesticides and herbicides are bad, obviously, because it kills living things. So if they put it on your food, I don't think that's a good thing. But as far as like chemically modified or biologically, genetically modified products, I don't know if that affects you or not. I mean, I don't know.
I'm sure
maybe it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, because I know Robert Kennedy brought that up on Rogan's last podcast. Yeah. So I figured I'd ask because I've seen the article where Russia banned that. So, but cool, man. Well, Jeff, I appreciate you coming on, man. We both we enjoyed it, and like I said, you were our first guest, so it's cool to get you back on.
Thank you. Yeah, anytime, man. Thank you. And thank you for letting me do my spiel about my documentary. So I appreciate it.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, we don't care, man.
Oh yeah, we'll check it out. We'll let you know how it is, and we'll definitely watch it though for you.
All right, I appreciate it.
All right, have a good one, Jeff.
Have a good one.
All right, bye. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
All right,
for sure.
Yeah, bye.